Socrates famously said that the unexamined life was not worth living. He was right. Fortunately for us backpackers, we had the opportunity to examine ourselves through adventure. My name is Will Roachford, and I'm going to share some of my adventures from the past year and why they qualify me as a gear tester for Backpacker magazine. Most of these will be portrayed through still photos, as obviously that's the primary form of visual communication of your magazine. Of course, there's also some video, as periodicals these days can exist as much through Web 2.0 tools online as they do in hard copies in the bookstore. There are three primary points that I want to cover today. First, the importance of the opportunity to test gear. Secondly, knowledge of gear and its context. And finally, the importance of a community to discuss and test gear with. First of all, it's important that if you're planning on testing gear, you actually have the opportunity to go out and do so. I make it a point to go backpacking at least once a month. I'd go more often, but unfortunately I need to maintain some form of gainful employment to subsidize the cost of my extravagant outdoors habit. As you can see from the slides, I can easily drive in most conditions that anyone would want to test gear in. On top of that, I try and take 1 or 2 trips a year to locations outside of my region. For instance, this year, trying to go to the Grand Tetons at the end of August, and then a trip to New Zealand after Christmas. As a side note, you might notice there's a gap in a trip between March and June. Just wanted you to know I'm not getting lazy. Snapped my clavicle into a couple of pieces, and the doctor highly recommended I give up my outdoors habit for at least 6 weeks. Barring any significant injury, I should get to at least 15 trips this year, and I'll have plenty of opportunity to put the gear through any sort of paces that you would like me to do. Not only is it important to have the opportunity to test the gear, but you should also have an understanding of the context of the gear in the marketplace and a familiarity of Backpacker magazine and its culture. For instance, Hub AHP. It's great that it comes in a minimum weight of 3 pounds 11 ounces, but what does that mean compared to previous iterations of that tent? How does it compare to other 2-person tents in the marketplace? These are important things to know when you're reviewing gear. It's also important to understand the culture of Backpacker and its readers. For instance, I know that Shannon Davis is a Mr., not a Mrs., and not only that, he's one of the gnarliest backpackers around. His article about the solo trip of the High Sierra Trail single-handedly put that trip instantly on the top 5 lights list. I also completely understand why Mrs. Kirsten Hostetter would be selected as a desired tent mate, ahead of people like Jesus and Sir Edmund Hillary, because she's an absolute backpacking babe. Thirdly, and perhaps of tertiary significance, but still important, is having a community to test gear with. If you look at the trips I've been on over the past year, you'll notice a cornucopia of different folks that have come out on these. I believe this is important because then they can also provide feedback on the gear that's being tested, from things as simple as how does it look to how does it function, would they go out and buy it. I can easily get other folks' opinions on the gear to make sure that my reviews are as robust as they possibly can be. I've talked with you today about my qualifications as a gear tester, specifically about my opportunity to test the gear, the knowledge of the gear, and the community I have to test the gear with. I'd like to wrap up with some video from a backpacking trip we took last July in the Ansel Adams Wilderness, based on a recommendation from Backpacker about alternative trips in the Yosemite area. To give you some context, people in here, a couple of buddies of mine from San Diego, and my girlfriend Amanda. Go by Lake Catherine on the backside of Mount Ritter. I think you know the area. Hope you enjoy.
Are you counting for us, Will? Alright, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, jump, and everybody jump on jump, alright? Okay, ready?
Wait, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3.
3, 2, 1,
Right.
jump.
Ah!
3,
Let's go.
2, 1, jump.
Ah!